Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or BJJ as it's commonly known, has become one of the fastest growing sports in the world. There is an estimated 2.9 million people around the world currently practicing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and organisations such as the UFC have only helped to increase the popularity of the sport, with main stars such as Charles Oliveira just showing how powerful and effective this martial art is. And in this video, I'm going to give you some of the best lessons I have learned from practicing this sport. Because during this time, I've learned a lot about the sport, and not only that, a lot about myself as a human being with my mindset and attitude towards things. And two quick things before we get into this video. The main gym that I train out of is Impulse BJJ. So if you are in the Peterborough area or Cambridge, please head down to Impulse. It is the best gym that I can recommend. I will leave their Instagram and website at the top of the description. So if you do want to check them out, come try a class, come see a class, see how it runs down there, then feel free to do so. And the second thing is that I'm not wearing any eyeshadow. This is a black eye that I didn't get from Jiu-Jitsu. I actually got from an MMA class where you punch and kick each other in the head, which you don't do in Jiu-Jitsu, which is pretty handy. And the first thing I've learned from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is that it is the hardest sport I've ever done mentally and physically. Growing up in school in the UK, I was pretty good at most sports that you tend to get taught, being football, rugby, athletics, all things like that, I was pretty good at. But pretty much none of these has any carryover to Jiu-Jitsu itself, so that's made it a pretty difficult sport to learn. Unless you have a background in other grappling martial arts, you're gonna have to probably start at square one, just like I did, because you do a lot of certain movements that you wouldn't do in any other sports, and that can be hard on the ego, but I guarantee you this will make you a better person. The second lesson I have learned is that training actually makes you a lot less aggressive than you might think. There is a common misconception about martial arts that makes you think that you'll be a much more aggressive and angry person in your day-to-day life. Whereas I promise you, it does the complete opposite, and I've met some of the most down-to-earth and chilled out people through this sport. Touching on the previous point where I mentioned that it damages your ego, this will actually benefit you greatly, as it will make you more of a student of life, helping you to be patient with things, understand things better, and know that you perform better when you're a lot calmer. Not when you're super angry and trying to bulldoze your way through and just out-muscle everyone. Because this method might work a couple of times, but I guarantee you that once you come up with someone who has better technique than you, they're going to make you look pretty silly in the nicest way possible. Now, I've never really been the aggressive type, or I've never really had a street fight, if I'm honest with you. However, this sport also makes you realize how deceiving looks can actually be. Because there is such a wide variety of body shapes, ages, male and females, it makes you realize that absolutely anybody in the street that you could start a fight with could actually be a killer. Which is where the saying, it is better to be a warrior in a garden than it is to be a gardener in war. Which, if you haven't heard this before, pretty much just means that it's better to be skilled and not have to use it than to not have the skills and then someone, try and attack you and be fucked because you can't do anything about it. The next thing I have learned is that sometimes you are the hammer, but most of the time, especially as a white belt, you are the nail. I think this is really beneficial for developing your mind, as I think pretty much everybody understands now that putting yourself in difficult situations and pushing yourself out of your comfort zone is good for you. The problem with this is that people love to talk about it, but don't actually do it. Where in Jiu-Jitsu you'll have somebody lying on top of you trying to choke you out, or just moving your body around places that you don't want to go, which, if you've never had that done to you before, it is super frustrating. However, by being in these moments where perhaps it's just not going well, you're rolling with someone who is a much higher belt than you, and for the entire 3 or 5 minute roll, you're just doing your absolute best to survive. This is a real life example of pushing through barriers when things are difficult and not in your favor. So by building this resilience, the next time something else in your life pops up that is difficult, well, you're already practicing this skill and you're much more likely to thrive in this situation, which obviously just compounds and compounds the more you practice Jiu-Jitsu. Now, the last point I want to discuss is understanding that everybody is in the room for different reasons. And as I touched on earlier, in the gym, there is so many different people with so many different stories and backgrounds. Some people may be there just because they want to get a bit fitter and healthier. Some people may want to be there because they want to improve their mental health. And some people may be there because they actually want to get better at the sport and perhaps in the future take part in competitions. So by actually understanding this, you are going to be able to learn off absolutely everybody in your gym. By seeing somebody who perhaps isn't in the best physical condition turn up to the gym week after week and making serious progress with this, That should inspire you. Seeing people come out of their shell and be able to express themselves through this martial art, making themselves a much more confident person in and outside of the gym. And then seeing some people come in for their first session and barely be able to do a forward roll, yet months down the line they come into the gym and they do a technique or a move on you, and they're actually helping develop your game because you might not have seen this move before, they do it on you, and then you learn from that. There is so many opportunities to learn from different people of walks of life, and like I said, realizing this is only gonna benefit you. So that wraps up all of the lessons I've learned from practicing 100 plus hours of Jiu-Jitsu. So if this is a video that you enjoyed, make sure to leave it a like. If you want me to make more videos around Jiu-Jitsu, perhaps a video on my top tips for someone starting, then drop this video a like, leave it a comment. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel if you do enjoy self-improvement / self-development content. And yeah, that's all from me. Hope you have a great day and I will see you soon. Take care.